If you were in Vietnam in the early 1990s, jeans were somehow a mark of being a tourist. If you had a pair of jeans, you were a foreigner. The big cities of Hanoi and Saigon were still innocent. That also meant even the largest Vietnamese brands were innocent. Cyclos were a common sight, motorbikes were rare, street vendors were everywhere, fancy storefronts were not. At the turn of the millennium, though, things started to shift. The Doi Moi policy kicked into gear. It was the Vietnamese government's attempt to embrace market economics. As a result, modern brands like Trung Nguyen Coffee emerged. It seemed like the number of these mass-market yet modern brands were popping up on every street corner of Vietnam. It also underlined a new sensitivity to branding. It seemed that these companies knew how to keep their brands clear and differentiated, the colors of their uniforms, the customer service high, and the quality consistent. For Trung Nguyen, the heart of the story was a Vietnamese man born into a poor peasant family who sampled coffees across the country and turned them into his company's signature catalog. People were so proud when Trung Nguyen began exporting its coffee globally. But those were the early days. Vietnam was still young. It was an era when people started saying, "This country has so much potential." We've heard it over and over again as Vietnam has grown into its teenage years. Now that it's 2017, you can see a new generation of brands emerging out of Vietnam. Maru Chocolate, Pastor Street Brewery, Pizza for Peas, they all represent the vanguard of a group of entrepreneurs that appreciate good design and presentation. Although the streets are still lined up with traditional typefaces and signs, it's mixed in with a healthy batch of modern brands that get at the heart of a Vietnam that was influenced by Americans, French, and Chinese elements. In many ways, this is why Vietcetera came into being. It's part of our manifesto. We want to ride the wave of these new emerging Vietnamese brands, but at the same time, we're intrigued by these emerging new class of designers, marketers, and business people that are lifting Vietnamese cities out of the old and into the new. Okay, we get that there are some emerging brands. We get that there are more keyed-in Vietnamese entrepreneurs, but where is it all headed next? Part of it is how we see and understand Vietnam as a brand. What does it represent? Internationally, most people think of backpacker travel, street food, and the Vietnam War. But I think we're seeing the seeds of something exciting. Vietnam is the upstart underdog. It has a rough on the edges quality. It's street smart, it's stable, yet deeply complex, and it's always on the cusp of something bigger.